All right, welcome to the Will Wilson Show. We are here on Radio Row. We're here on Radio Row at the RNC convention. You know what? We want to thank everybody for allowing us to be here, making the opportunity happen for us. You know, and we've been here all week, and we've met some of the world's greatest people. Yesterday, sitting in front of me was Ambassador John Bolton. And that interview was off the chain, and it had nothing to do with me. I'm telling you, it had nothing to do with me. I just said, how about this? And he went, and we've met some fantastic people, and the hits just keep coming, as they say, as they used to say on the radio. Sitting in front of me now is Charles Butler. Now, Charles Butler is another conservative radio host he's now living in Chicago. And I'll tell you, has a similar background as me, and has a similar viewpoint as me. So y'all just talking to yourselves? No, we're talking to you. You know. So, Mr. Butler, welcome to the Will Wilson Show.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wilson. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a great week. I'll tell you straight up, I am exhausted.
Yeah.
I am straight up exhausted. I may be too old for this. I found out I may be too old for this, but it's been a great week. It's like having 4 Super Bowls, and I'm looking forward to tonight hearing the nominee speech, being in the hall and hearing the speech. So it's been a great week. When did you get here?
I got here Sunday afternoon.
Okay, so you've gone to all the events?
Yes.
What have you done since you've been here that you found most interesting?
I attended a private dinner where there were a number of people that I could not get to in Chicago, but I was able to meet here and have very relevant conversations and establish very meaningful relationships in a very short period of time.
That's what it's about. You know what? I'll be honest with you, man. A lot of that is what this is about.
That's what it's all about. You know, politics is about business. Black people think politics is about social interaction and being a nice person. Business is about business. You know, business is not about being like you go to church, but because, you know, and I try to teach young blacks who are in corporate America this, that when you're in corporate America, it's not about being nice. The nice person doesn't finish first. The most competent person finishes first. The most strategic person finishes first. You know, not necessarily the person who does the best job. And just because you wear a shirt and tie to work does not mean you're not at war.
that is the truth.
It means, when you graduate, it means commencement, to begin to act as an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, a computer programmer. Commencement means to begin, not to end. But I hear blacks say, well, it's the end. Because, you know, what do we know? We just basically, in any serious numbers, started graduating in the 60s and going to college, these major colleges in the 60s. So how would we know what commencement means? I always thought it meant to end until I look it up, and, you know, the word means to begin.
Commence.
Commence.
Means
forward.
Start. That is. Means get up out of here and go do something. and in the vernacular, it means go out there and do something. You're exactly right. And I think that people don't understand that a lot of these conventions are just that. And the advantage of being a black conservative in these times is, I'll be honest, is that there are a lot of people who want to talk to us.
Yeah, a lot of people want to talk to us, a lot of people want to go to us, but it's not only us. You know, I've found over the years that it's always been easier to work with and do deals with people who were of a conservative bent rather than people who were liberal. Because, see, when people are liberal, they think they know more about you than you do. They want to read your mind and tell you what you're thinking. See, and I'm just not one of those people who can read my mind, because generally I'm more intelligent and more experienced than you, Mr. or Mrs. Liberal, okay? And I'm very not politically correct. In fact, I have this saying, and it's that a person's liberalism seems to be related to the distance they are from the problem.
Yeah. So now you've explained to me why somebody who comes to me and says, "So you're a Republican, you're a conservative, you hate yourself." And I always wondered, how you know?
Because they're ignorant.
That I hate myself.
Because, see, people use the word conservative and racism synonymously. They do it all the time in the media. They do it all the time on the liberal side. So when people say, well, you're conservative, in black folks' mind, and in most people's mind, because of the way the word is used, they think you're saying racism.
That's exactly right, and I think that you've done a good job letting folks know for sure that that's not it.
I'm an educator.
And you know what? And part of what we need is that I think we need a couple of things. We need people to educate. We need people to activate. And
all I say is I'm like Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was asked after the war ended, Mr. Douglass, what do you colored people want us to do for you? Frederick Douglass' reply was, leave us alone. If you see a black kid walking to church, leave him alone. If you see a black man in the field bringing his crop to be paid for, leave him alone. Give him a fair opportunity. That's all we want. We want nothing else. But of course, liberals want to get involved in your business because they think they know more than you.
That's exactly right. Listen, you've been in convention all week. We could do this for like 3-4 days.
3 or 4 years. I mean, given all of the pathology in our community about a whole bunch of issues, like this thing about being black. I'm like, being black? Well, just because I want to be the best pilot or I want to be the best astronaut, I want to be the best scientist, that's being too white? How stupid is that? But all that nonsense started with those ignorant Negroes like Jesse Jackson Sr. in 1968 when Dr. King died. See, Dr. King really had a PhD, a doctor of philosophy. He wasn't a PhD, pontificated, hypocrite, and dumbfounded.
No, he was not. And his first name was not Doctor. He earned a doctorate.
Yeah.
His first name was not Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're absolutely right. Listen, as you see this, we're going to talk a little bit about what's happened in the past few days. As you see this line up, we had the storm. We had the storm on Monday, but I think that worked to the convention's advantage because on Tuesday night, Ann Romney showed up on the stage. Did you see Ann speak? What do you think? Given that,
hit it out of the park.
Because her job was to soften Mitt Romney.
She hit it out the park.
I think so too. Chris Christie. Now I'm gonna tell you when I saw
Chris Christie.
When the big man came on the stage, I thought if he does a John Belushi cartwheel, I'm through.
Chris is a very serious politician. He's a very serious American. He understands what we need to happen in this country, and we need to do what he's doing in New Jersey naturally. That's all I can say about Chris Christie. I love Chris Christie. He's been on my show several times. I love the guy.
And I think he did exactly what he needed to do. Last night, Paul Ryan showed up.
Paul showed up to the Economic Club, Chicago Economic Club, knocked it out of the park. Nothing but Republicans and Obama people. He got a standing ovation. People love Paul Ryan. I don't care what anyone says. Paul Ryan, come 2020. is going to be our president.
Should I write that down?
You write that down. Quote from Charles Butler.
All right, I'll write that down. Well, okay. Hang on, I misplaced my pen, but that's all right. But I'll write that down. So now when we leave here tonight, because we leave here tonight, Mitt Romney speeches this evening. When we leave here this evening, I always, and listen to my show, I always leave it at the end of the show with people who listen having to do something. Listening isn't enough for me. Knowing isn't enough for me. Knowing is fine, listening is fine, but unless you act on that, you're useless.
Okay.
You serve no purpose.
Okay.
Now, my idea is, now that we've got all this information, we know a little bit more about Mitt Romney, we know a little bit more about Paul Ryan, what's the battle cry for black conservatives now? What's our action plan as we move forward? Because if we're not involved in this process...
Really, I think that people should vote their interests, first of all. I don't believe that at this stage of the game we can talk about being a Republican or being a Democrat.
Okay.
Black people have to vote their interests. I could see black people going out voting for President Obama who did not know him because he's black. But that's the end of it. Barack Obama's skin color is the end of his blackness. And if you don't believe me, just read his Black Enterprise magazine article. It is an embarrassment. I say all the time that the message coming out of the White House, that has continued to come out of the White House toward black Americans, has been racist, condescending, and totally off point. He goes to the Urban League, and what does President Obama say? Well, y'all just need to work harder. If President Bush had said, y'all just need to work harder, they would have ran him out of there on a a rail.
Take off your house shoes?
Take off your house shoes.
What kind of blasphemy is take off your house shoes?
This is to a bunch of the Congressional Black Caucus, a most esteemed group of black people, even if you don't agree with their politics. Who does he think? I know Barack Obama. And I say, who in the hell does he think he is? He's a disrespectful, half African, half white American.
Well, you know, it's been said.
It's what he is. And he said that Cornel West, now if you don't believe me, Cornel West says the same thing. But I would say it before Cornel because I know Barack Obama. And Barack says himself, I don't know anything about those black people. I don't know anything about the black American experience. Well, we keep talking about he black.
How does he get
Eric Holder? Eric Holder, the only black that he has in his official cabinet, says, I'm not a black American. My dad was from Barbados. I'm a Barbadian. I don't know anything about what those Negroes do. So they still running around and talking about he black. They don't say black about Barack.
His skin color,
and Michelle, and Michelle and those babies, they black. That boy,
he ain't black.
Well, I mean, read his history. The first black woman he dated was Michelle.
That's rough. That's rough. That is rough. That is rough. You just telling the truth.
I'm from Chicago. I'm telling the truth.
I feel you. You know, but how does it end up? And this is this could be a long conversation that we're going to continue to have even after today. How do black people co-opt this? Is it a desperation? Is it an ignorance?
We always want someone to come and stand with us. And the first time we were co-opted, it was the NAACP. The NAACP, if you look at what they did, instead of doing what Booker T. Washington was doing, we have followed, everyone who's come to this country has followed the Booker T. Washington model. Independence. Build your own. You know, people talk about, and they lie on Booker T. Washington, said he only wanted us in the trades. That's not true. Booker T. Washington was on a number of black college universities' boards and raised money for them and pushed education. Now, if you don't believe me when I talk about Booker T. Washington, read his own words in a book called Working with Hands. That was the sequel to Up From Slavery. But how come we don't know about Working with Hands? I know people who claim to be Washington scholars who don't know about his sequel book, Working with Hands. Don't get me started on all this.
Okay, too late. I think I did.
I'll blow it up over here.
I think I did. Because that's a very important part of the argument, but a very important part of this entire discussion of how the black people in 2012 get to this mental place, get to this place.
All this black stuff, I heard from a U.S. Congress, it's over. Nothing, you know, these young black kids today have destroyed everything that we worked for in the 60s. They don't want to conform. Listen to their music. The music is appalling. It's anti-American. You know, so they said, well, white kids buy 60% of hip hop. Yeah, but white kids are perpetrating.
They're just kidding. And because at some point they'll put that down and go on.
It's like the flower children. What happened to the flower power thing?
They put it down. They put it down and bought an SUV.
Right.
That's what they did in moving suburbs.
Yeah, I know black people. They this way because I know them. I used to smoke dope with them.
Yeah, but I won't hire them. Am I right?
And my kids can't play with them.
My kids may not play with them. I don't think we can put a play date together in where you live. You guys ever get up to here?
Those are the people who were not trying to go to the war in the 60s.
Canada is very nice. It's very wet. Nice in the winter.
Yeah, but who ended affirmative action where we had black people being hired? Jimmy Carter. Who started affirmative action? Dick Nixon. So, you know, I lived through that. I know the history of that. Art Fletcher, who was the father of affirmative action, is a good friend of mine. But anyway, man, don't get me to going down the truthful path, exposing what really been going on.
We're not trying to do it all today, but we are definitely going to go down that path because this convention is about doing business.
It is.
And what we're doing is doing business and building coalitions and building relationships.
Well, look, there's a gentleman that you need to interview. You need to call me and get his information. His name is Pastor William Owens. He chairs the Coalition of African American Pastors.
Yes.
The group is 37,000 strong. They have a petition out that's 87,000 blacks and 90% of them are voting against the president. We're moving into various states across the country. We're going to push the agenda of traditional marriage, anti-illegal immigration policy, send them home, and now, and jobs.
Because if you send them home, if you can send them home, we can have them, John.
Yeah, those jobs.
You know what? And I gotta let you go. But even when we had before illegal immigration was so prevalent, people said, "Well, those people are just picking fruit." I think people forgot the people who used to pick that fruit. That was us.
But we're not talking
And
about
poor whites used to pick that fruit.
We're not talking about picking food anymore. We're talking about people who are working in plants. We're talking about people who are driving trucks. We're talking about people who are in offices. I'm sorry, this is not about migrant workers. And besides that, Cesar Chavez did not support illegal immigration. Look it up.
That's very true. All right, listen, Charles. It's a pleasure, man.
My pleasure, baby.
It's a blessing. We appreciate you.
All right.
Listen, we will hook up later. We will hook up later for sure. Hey, listen, thanks for coming to the Will Austin Show here on Blog Talk Radio and Spreaker.com. We'll be back in just a few moments.